the numbers tick downwards second by second.
The climate clock is showing our critical time window to take action to prevent the effects of climate change from becoming irreversible.
It's the start of Climate Week NYC and the United Nations General Assembly, and the COVID-19 pandemic has forced events to move online. But the climate clock in Union Square was launched this week, and it's a tangible reminder that time is running out to reduce carbon emissions. Gan Golan is the co-creator of the climate clock.
And so what you see on the clock right now is about 7 years, 101 days left in this critical time window.
Last year at this time, UN traffic clogged the streets, and our city's youth participated in a massive climate march. Young activist Greta Thunberg arrived here on a sailboat.
Greta Thunberg actually has the very first climate clock that we built for her custom at her request.
But this year, the climate clock is one of the few things people will see showing them it's Climate Week. Jaron Lyle's reaction when he looks up.
Yeah, we're running out of time.
More than 20 years ago, this clock was created as a public art installation showing time in a 24-hour format. The owner of the building, the related companies, agreed to change it over to the climate clock as part of Climate Week. The company is now deciding on the future of the clock.
Oh, I'm definitely nervous. I'm nervous because unfortunately the politics in our country has made climate change a political issue instead of a human issue.
There's actually a lot of hope in this clock. We say that this clock is not just a deadline, it's a lifeline.
The hope is people, governments, the world will step up and make the changes that are needed. In Union Square, Allison Caden, Pix 11 News.
New rules for Uber riders may require you to take a selfie before you take a ride. 12 News' Gary Burton spoke with Uber and joins us now here in the studio to tell us about what riders need to know. Gary, what'd you find out?
It was starting today a new protocol for Uber riders, and this is how it works. If a driver leaves a complaint that a rider wasn't wearing a mask, then on that rider's next trip, Uber will require the rider to take a selfie wearing a face covering before they can take another ride. Now, back in May, Uber launched the no mask, no ride policy, and since then, more than 1,200 riders have had their access to the Uber app removed after multiple reports from drivers.
Vast majority of the response we've gotten from drivers has been overwhelmingly positive. As Navida mentioned, like 99.5% of our trips have actually no complaints. What that tells us is the community has come together. The company has taken a strong stance with no mask, no ride, and that has resonated. So by and large, everyone is coming together and wearing a mask and making sure safety remains top priority.
And Uber says that the driver submits a complaint from a group trip and didn't have a mask, then the account holder will be responsible for everyone in the vehicle. And we want to hear from you if you agree on this rule or not.
Are you crazy?
You're crazy. You are crazy. You are both of you crazy.
You're a madman.
You think I'm crazy?
You're crazy.
You calling me crazy? You're
crazy!
Yeah, you want to see crazy? I'll tell you.
Jillian? Jillian!
Don't! You'll be poisoned!
Listen! There's nothing wrong with the air around here. The army is getting us out of here because they don't want any witnesses.
But if the army doesn't want us here, this is none of our business.
I'm breathing the same air. You can take it off.
It's a coincidence when I painted it.
You can take it off.
Yes, better than it is Los Angeles.
Listen, how many of you people are getting out of here?
The president and CEO of the Federal Reserve Bank of Cleveland has revealed details of the Fed's ongoing research into a potential digital dollar. Speaking in a keynote address on September 23, Loretta Mester emphasized that the Federal Reserve has been exploring central bank digital currencies (CBDC) since before the pandemic, noting that its board of governors has been building and testing a range of distributed ledger platforms to understand their potential benefits and trade-offs. She also noted initiatives from regional Federal Reserve branches, including a multi-year partnership between the Massachusetts Institute of Technology (MIT) and the Boston Fed, in addition to collaboration between the Fed's New York branch and the Bank for International Settlements. Despite the ongoing research, Mester asserted that the initiatives do not signal any decision by the Federal Reserve to adopt such a currency, adding that issues related to financial stability, market structure, security, privacy, and monetary policy all need to be better understood. Mester noted that the COVID pandemic has resulted in significant disruptions to crucial infrastructure of the U.S., such as the payments sector, and had resulted in major changes to the patterns and volume of domestic transfers. The spread of COVID-19 heightened the reliance of businesses and individuals on digital services and faster connectivity, as many employees began to work from home and consumers turned to online shopping. Looking ahead, Mester emphasized the importance of making necessary investments to ensure that the U.S. payments system remains resilient in the face of extreme stress events will need to remain a priority. Mester's speech comes 2 weeks after the Central Bank of the Bahamas announced the archipelago nation was aiming to become the first country to launch a CBDC, revealing that its sand dollars digital currency will be launched nationwide in October. Many analysts are critical of the prospects of success for CBDC initiatives, however, with economist John Vass describing state-backed virtual currencies as a defensive posture against the threats posed by decentralized crypto assets to governments' long-standing hegemony over monetary policy.
Oh, hi, little girl. What brings you to see Uncle Krusty?
Krusty, are you broke?
Yeah, all it takes is some bad luck at the ponies, worse luck in the Bitcoin market.
New to the Oxford Dictionary, 1600.
A digital currency in which transactions can be performed without the need for a central bank. Woody.
What is a Bitcoin?
Yes.
Oxford Dictionary is for 2000.
Technically, everyone's still the same place in relation to each other.
These points are like Bitcoins.
No, they're not, because your points aren't going to go down suddenly.
Powering down for duration of boring comedy exclamation.
Boy, if I had a Bitcoin for every time I've heard that before. All right, well.
It's untraceable, like you asked.
How? Explain.
I used a Ripple exchange to have the fiat currency converted to eCash and then into Bitcoin. I ran the whole transaction through a randomized cryptographic extension at the protocol level, then through a two-tier secure laundry service I know I can trust. No one's gonna catch you. I promise.
Bitcoin, totally untraceable.
While dollar bills are traded through a bank, Bitcoin is traded peer-to-peer.
See, Mom? Pretty colors. Fun, right?
Thanks, Zach. So, you don't buy Bitcoin?
No, you can. There are currency traders online.
Yeah, one Bitcoin's worth $3.
It used to be $33. People were hoarding.
But that's not how it gets into circulation. You mine it, like gold. The guy who invented it created this program that releases blocks of Bitcoin over time.
The deep web, I've heard of that.
Oh, yeah, no, 96% of the internet isn't accessible through standard search engines. Most of it's useless, but it's where you go to find anything and everything. Child porn, Bitcoin laundering, mail-order narcotics, hackers for hire.
How do you access it?
It's actually pretty easy. I can show you if you want.
You know, in Haitian voodoo, Papa Legba is the gatekeeper at the crossroads between life and death.
Yeah, well, I think Bell figured out Papa Legba's real identity. So why didn't he turn him in? Blackmail. He wanted $500,000 in Bitcoins to keep Papa Legba's identity a secret.
Okay.
Who do you want to see in a casket first? Your wife or your kids?
You leave them out of this.
Now it's $2 million. You say another word and it's 4. Same drill, wire the money, convert it to Bitcoins.
Forget Bitcoins. I want a face-to-face.
I created a business model from my bedroom that revolutionized an international market and cut violence in the drug trade by half. You're welcome.
Yeah, people are just lining up to thank you.
It's okay. I have a plan. Okay, I have $100 million in Bitcoins. You get me off this plane and past Interpol in one piece, I'll split it with you.
Can communicate with everybody who voted?
Yeah, I could do that. It should take about 2 minutes. Just PayPal me some Bitcoins when you get a chance.
Give me the pros first for central banking getting into cryptocurrency of some kind.
At one level, it's going to mean that central banks remain in the game. If you look at certain economies like Sweden, where the use of cash is very fast disappearing, central banks may have very little role to play both in terms of wholesale as well as retail payment systems. So this would keep central banks in the business of creating money, although most money in modern economies is really created by commercial rather than central banks. In addition, having a central bank digital currency would put a crimp on illegal activity that is intermediated to cash, bring a lot more activities into the tax net, and it would also make monetary policy at one level somewhat easier to implement. If we all had deposit accounts with the Federal Reserve, which would be one way of having electronic money, the Fed would be able to impose negative nominal interest rates, which it couldn't do during the financial crisis. So there is a lot to be said for having a central bank digital currency, although as you're suggesting, there are some negatives as well.
Here, this one talks about the coronavirus stimulus offered by the House Financing Service Committee creates the new digital dollar. And this is quite interesting because, you know, I've been talking about this for a while, that he shall cause all, small and great, to receive a mark either in their hand or their forehead, that they may not buy nor sell, save that they have the mark of the beast.
Is that through the Federal Reserve System, the bankers have pretty much taken control of our government. It doesn't matter Republican and Democrat anymore, because they're both the same. Neither one of them are talking about shutting down the Federal Reserve System or stopping the payment of taxes, you know, or any of the big issues that face Americans.
The U.S. is on track, guys. So according to the draft, the digital dollar will be a dollar balances consisting of digital ledger entries recorded as liabilities in the accounts of any Federal Reserve Bank. The bill even notes that such wallets should be branded as Fed accounts. Guys, it's coming together. Every government and central bank will be building their central bank digital currencies. I think the U.S. wants to beat China on this because there's political and economic reasons. Obviously, the U.S. dollar being, you know, the reserve currency, they don't want to lose that power, right? So there is a power battle here. So think about that. And crypto, you know, this is going to build more interoperability for crypto. It's going to get people to understand, hey, money can be digital, because there's still naysayers who think crypto is a scam, a Ponzi scheme, fake internet money, right? There's still people, the masses, who think that. They don't understand. But if the government puts out the narrative and the education saying, hey, guess what? You can have the dollar in a tokenized version in an app or whatever it may be, that opens up their minds and understanding to cryptocurrencies.
And the whole agenda is to create a one world government where everybody has an RFID chip implanted in them. All money is to be in those chips, right? There'll be no more cash. And this is getting me straight from Rockefeller himself. This is what they want to accomplish. And all money will be in your chips. And so instead of having cash, anytime you have money in your chip, they can take out whatever they want to take out whenever they want to.
There's a need for a utility type service that lets you move money when you want to pay someone else, pay a store, so that you can pay a store no matter if they use the same bank as you do. You can pay your relative in the rural areas no matter if you use a different bank, or if you want to switch your account from bank 1 to bank 2. And so a lot of our work to get this low-cost digital debit card using the cell phone going is making sure the regulator has set up the right safeguards. And that includes a money transfer system that has very low fees, that lets, and insisting that every bank that's licensed connect up and have these reasonable fees. It's kind of like phone number portability is in the mobile space, that you can switch a carrier and not have to change that phone number. And so that's why the foundation's role in working with these regulators and taking lessons from different countries will help get this into the most pro-poor form we can.
So let me ask you, because there's another answer to this question. So you're talking about relying on regulatory infrastructure and banks participating, but there are many, many investors and smart people out there who will tell you that the answer to these questions is Bitcoin. So what do you think about Bitcoin as a solution to these problems?
Well, the effort to make sure your Bitcoin provider isn't going to lose your money, and your understanding of the volatility of Bitcoin, I'd hardly say that's ready for poor people to have it.
We need to wake up and ask ourselves, what kind of America do we want? I mean, what are we looking at? What kind of future are we going to see? What are we going to see 10 years from now? I mean, we see the popularity among youth, among the younger generation of Bitcoin, Ethereum, all different types of cryptocurrencies. Literally, we're going to exist in a society in which money is digital. Cash no longer exists. It has fallen out of favor. All of these central banks, they are foaming at the mouth with excitement right now. They are in separate rooms, all of them, in a race, trying to beat one another, to come up with a brand new kind of token, coin, whatever they're going to call it, in order to present it to the people as the savior, the knight in shining armor. We're going to live in a country. Not only will our money be digital, not only completely dominated by what they call cryptocurrencies, it might come up with a new name by then, but once the cash is eliminated, we're going to be under strict controls over what you buy, over where you go.
Each blockchain phone comes with its own integrated cryptocurrency smart card connected to the phone's digital wallet. Global charities, ultra-high net worth individuals, members of the public, Fortune 500 companies, governments and corporations can bulk buy sovereign skybox sets and help distribute them to people in need in the world's poorest and remotest part. The modems talk to the phones through their custom-built operating system, and the phone's Instagram-style app and digital wallet connects to each device's cryptocurrency smart card. Once the cryptocurrency collects in the phone's digital wallet, the person in need, hospital or village can then buy medicine, clothes, food or water using their smart card, or send the digital money to anyone who has the Ruon app installed in areas. Each phone will be able to feed an entire village for years on end. Each year, $800 billion is donated to charitable organizations with little effect on extreme global poverty. Up to 97% of sovereign aid donations will go straight to the person in need and will be one of the most efficient donation processes to date. For the first time, donors will know exactly who they are donating to. Large corporations and individuals will use Ruon's Instagram-style profile pages to search for villages, hospitals, charities, and where and who they want to donate money to. Donors can now track how their donations are spent through the Ruon blockchain smart card accounting technology. Donors can see the positive impact their donations have made with photos and thank you videos.
John with you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation. I have a dream that all men are created
Bueno, hemos estado haciendo cambios políticos.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Everyone's going to have to chip in. That's only fair. That's the principle I'll be fighting for during the next phase of this process. And in the coming months, I'll continue also to fight for what the American people care most about.
So this is clearly the British crown. This is a British coin, you guys. This is from 1931, okay? There's also another coin here, 1930. So it's almost as if someone dropped the coin and they're trying to cover it with their foot so that you don't know that they're about to pick it up, type of thing, I think is the interpretation. So the coming days we'll see. But the purpose of this video is just to really clarify that this is a British coin, and this goes to the multiple levels of interpretation of I Pet Goat and the multiple levels of resolutions that are achieved in this animation. And because it is an animation, nothing happens by accident.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society.
society.
And giving it back to you, the people.
And we give it back to you, the people.
We are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret society, secret oaths, and to secret proceedings.
We all want to help one another. Human beings are like that.
Hollywood, the mainstream media, and even publishers of children's books are using predictive programming and deceptive mind games to normalize and present the appearance of the impossible as orthodox science. Students who question the lines in the sky can be ridiculed and bullied by classmates, teachers, and professors, or even arrested on charges of anti-Semitism, because after 9/11 we know who controls America. So don't look at this, look at that, and we will help you keep your head in the clouds.
Forget being on cloud 9, we are on cloud 12, because that's how many new types of clouds have been added to this historic update coming from meteorologists. I'm a little biased, right? Exciting stuff, guys. All right, so the new types include the Volatus or roll cloud, which has been designated as a whole new species. You can see it gets its name from this long horizontal tube-like shape. Next one up, we have the cavum, or the hole punch cloud. This big circular gap is sometimes caused by aircraft taking off and landing. Very easy to see, right? Makes sense there. And we also have the Spiritus. These are gorgeous. It's actually my favorite. It's kind of looking like it waves while you're underwater. I mean, these are actually beautiful. I mean, check these out. And then finally, we also have the big surfer waves of the Fluctus clouds. These are actually caused by winds above flowing faster than the winds within the cloud itself, so you kind of get that shape. So beautiful, right? There's just a sample of the new additions that we have. Meteorologists, sky watchers, daydreamers, we're all geeking out, guys.
Watching this clueless little actress presenting her scripted propaganda is insulting to intelligent children and adults alike. She is nothing but a robot impersonating a human being, and it is sad and painful to watch to what low mental level she has been reduced to, exceeding record levels of stupidity.
Or the hole punch cloud, this big circular gap, is sometimes caused by aircraft taking off and landing. Very easy to see, right? Makes sense there. Sometimes caused by aircraft taking off and landing. Very easy to see, right? Makes sense there.
No, it doesn't make sense that airplanes are punching holes into clouds during takeoff and landing, you clueless twit.
occasionally the military will put some substances into the atmosphere that are detected by our radar, our weather surveillance radar. It's a substance that's called chaff.
The chaffs do look similar to the oncoming storm system, but they're actually an indication of an aircraft. We replayed the radar images from 8:40 a.m. Turns out several of those chaffs or planes were near the San Diego and Baja areas. Depending on how low and how fast, the planes could have created that sonic boom.
Let's talk about military chaff. You may or may not have heard of this. Now, chaff is something that the aircraft are equipped with. It's a spray that they put out in the atmosphere to confuse ground radars. It's a protection against, say, the radar-guided missiles, okay? So when they're flying these test patterns, they'll chaff the sky, and it shows up on radars. Now, I was looking at my radar wondering, could it have been a flight pattern? Well, here's what happened. I called the National Weather Service, and something interesting here. They confirmed that this right here, this and this are not rain. That was not rain on our radar. So this is not rain. What is it? Could it have been chaff? Well, we may never know.
That we've been dealing a lot with some military activity in terms of chaff anyway, and that's something that I experienced for the first time yesterday. That was a whole lot of fun. And that's where the military just basically dumps some of the tiny particles of plastic or metal, mylar, into the atmosphere. And basically they do this when we do already have weather in the area, because it's been around since as long as radar has been around, because that's the shot from yesterday's 6 o'clock show. What they do is try to confuse ground-based Doppler radar systems, and as Mark put it so kindly, ground-based meteorologists. And yes, ladies and gentlemen of the armed forces, it worked well.
What's your problem? I said, what's your problem?
How are you today, sir?
Okay, how's it going?
Fine, thank you. Thank you, sir. Here you are, sir. Thank you. Hey, buddy. You gonna pay for that or what? Look, buddy, I don't want no hassle today. Either pay for it or put it back.
There's a natural overlap between body hackers and the blockchain movement. And here at Body Hacks 2019, a 2-day conference in Austin, Texas, I'm planning on joining these couple hundred people who can officially call themselves cyborgs by getting something implanted too.
So I've just watched a bunch of videos about getting implants, namely the magnets under the fingers, and they use a scalpel, and there's a lot of blood, so that was a little bit much.
For me though, it'll be much less gruesome. I'm just getting an NFC-enabled microchip implant. It's housed in glass, about the size of a grain of rice, and so it fits inside a hollow 14-gauge needle. The needle goes in, the implant gets pumped out, the needle comes back out. It hurts about as much as giving blood or getting a piercing, and it gets injected most often between the thumb and index finger. And it's secured by this blockchain. That's the implanter's joke. Some attendees had programmed their chips to open RFID safes and doors, unlock their phones, and send their contact information to other phones, and some had even hacked their way into creating an authorization for accessing their Bitcoin holdings. That last use case, that's what I'm looking for. So on the last day of the conference, I sat down and a minute later excitedly exclaimed, "I'm a cyborg."
Thank you for your cooperation.
The implant I got, the VivoKey Spark, currently allows users to send an NFC-enabled phone to their profile page or to whatever website they choose. For the test and to shamelessly promote my content, I set the implant to send a phone to the Bitcoin at 10 website.
It did in fact take me to Bitcoin at 10.
Can I try?
Yes. Now we'll try with another person's phone.
Wow.
Cool, huh?
Next, I set it to take my phone to my Receive Bitcoin QR code, making it easy for people out and about to scan that code and tip me some crypto.
$2?
I guess, if that's all you're willing to give me, cheapskate.
And in a week or so, VivoKey will be launching a new API that will allow users to program the chip to act as an authenticator key. With this, I should be able to request that every time I want to send or transfer Bitcoin out of an open source wallet, it'll ask me to scan the chip to validate that transaction. And that way, the chip will act as a unique security measure that might make my hand as valuable as Clean Eyes in Minority Report.
But seriously, don't take my hand. I don't have that much crypto.
You can't buy food. You can't do anything. It's total control of the people.
And that chip's connected to a database that has your purchasing records, what you do, what
Everything.
you sell.
Everything is in there, you know? And so they want a one world government controlled by them, everybody being chipped, all your money in those chips, and they control the chips and they control people. And you become a slave. You become a serf to these people. That's their goal.
Not afraid. I am a hurricane, listen to yourself, churn world serve its own needs, dummy serve your own needs, beat it up a notch, speak grunt, no strength, the ladder starts to clatter with fear, fight down, high wire in a fire, represented 7 games in a government for hire in a combat site, left to west are coming in a hurry with the furies beating down your neck. Team my team reporters babble Trump, Kevin Crop, look at that low plane, fine, then, overflow, population common food, but it'll do, save yourself, serve yourself, world serve its own needs, listen to your heartbeat, dummy with the rapture and the reverend and the right, you bitch clock, TV hour, don't get caught in foreign tower, slash and burn, return, listen to yourself churn. Lock him in, uniform and book, burning blood, letting every motive escalate, automotive incinerate, light a candle, light a motor, step down, watch your heel crush, uh-oh, this means no fear, cavalier, renegade, steer clear, a tournament of lies. Offer me solutions, offer me alternatives, and I decline. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. I feel fine. Drifted by the mountain, sit in a line, Leonard Bernstein, Leonard Brasnap, Lenny Bush and Lester Banks, birthday party, cheesecake, jelly bean, boom, you symbiotic, patriotic, slam button, nap, right, it's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. I feel fine. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. And I feel fine.
The final mission to save mankind has failed. The 70-mile-wide asteroid known as Matilda is set to collide with Earth in exactly 3 weeks' time, and we'll be bringing you our countdown to the end of days, along with all your classic rock favorites.
Feel free to wear your casual Friday clothing pretty much any day of the week. And if anyone wants to be CFO. Anyone?
So, what are you doing with the rest of your life?
Catching up on some me time, find God.
Raise up more that will call upon your name. Raise up those that love you and seek you and trust you. Raise them up, Lord, raise them up. Bless your name, Jesus.
You're so good to me every day long.
If you're seeking, he'll come in. If you're seeking, he'll come in. Bless your name, Jesus. Bless your name, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord.